Hi, I'm Roy with RMS Roller Grinder. We're a manufacturer in particle size reduction, which includes crushing, milling, and grinding. Today, we're with the GSD group talking about how to increase yields in your process. Do you guys want to kick it off a little bit with some introductions and what the GSD group helps their clients with?
Yeah, thanks, Roy. I'm Andy Neary, saying I'm with the GSD Group, and what the GSD Group is, we're an EPCM. So think engineering, procurement, construction, management. We do it all. We focus in the industrial and agricultural and food industry, with a little bit of mineral industry, and we do a lot of things. But basically, we provide a diverse range of services that meet our customers' needs, and we solve their problems.
And I'm Chad Martz, and I'm a senior project engineer here with GSD Group as well. And as Andy said, we're a solutions provider. GSD is solutions and resources because we have many strategic partners with us on the industry to even commercial grade projects.
I wanted to kick it off with how does yields impact production and profitability in the process?
Yeah, so we kind of look at yields as a low in two different ways. So low yield or a high yield, right? And there's not really kind of in between. It all depends on where you draw the line. But when you're seeing low yields, you're more likely seeing a lot of waste, rework, labor inefficiencies. And then the biggest one that I think is a big impact is downtime. And then people say that, hey, we got really high yields. So obviously you can have more predictable margins and scalable growth. And that's why everybody wants to be a high yield producer.
What are some methods to improve yields within your process?
One of the best ways I think to even start remotely thinking about yields is to get to the basics and start measuring. So you need to get your core, start collecting data. What's your baseline that you can go off of to make strategic changes? And I don't care if you're measuring one thing, whether it's labor or throughput or tons per hour, whatever metric, start measuring something. And at the end of the day, you can start adding to those metrics. And we work with a lot of customers to develop what those metrics should be. But at the end of the day, it allows you to figure out those strategic moves, whether it's with equipment or it's with resources or even just some different technologies to start making some profound moves to impact your yield.
I think that makes sense. It's really hard to hit a target if you don't even know where you're at currently. So, really, like, first step is really knowing where you're at. And then, second,
Mhm.
identifying where you want to go. And based on that data, you can develop a project, a process, or whatever on how to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, and I would add to that too, that data can evolve and you can reflect on it years ago, so you can always pull on that data. But then you can take that data and that's the language I think what you guys speak and what we speak, and that way we can start seeing where we should push buttons and throw a piece of equipment at it or even just redefine a process. We need the data. That's how it starts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they really start looking at their metrics, they'll start to find that there's a lot of bad data. It's good data in, good data out,
Yeah.
or bad data in, bad data out, right? And
Mhm.
so it's kind of understanding what your data is telling you. Go back at one thing that we really lean on is the value stream process and looking at that data in your value stream and doing a value stream map and finding your gaps and then where does the data tell you to go. Because I mean, it's ultimately going to tell you where you should be making your decisions because you're going to see an outlier for sure.
No, that makes sense too. Yeah, you have to be gathering the right data to make the right decision. So, yeah, I'm sure you guys have plenty of experience with helping walk clients through how do I even start this process? It's like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? But I don't even know where to start with that. So, really understanding what do I need to look at? What do I need to track? And then how do I make decisions from that data? That's something the GSD group could help with.
Absolutely.
How does equipment selection affect yields?
Well, I think uh, equipment's an interesting concept because you can have all sorts of different types of equipment for different processes and different products. But oftentimes, like with our some of our customers that we help out with, we find out that your equipment's just not big enough for your process. And because they're just too undersized, or one, they're not the ideal candidate where they might have had some other equipment stored in a warehouse somewhere, and then they decided, hey, we got it, let's use it. And then they throw a bunch of money at it, trying to put items in place and spend a bunch of money on trying to make something work that wasn't really designed for what they're doing. You want to plan for the majority and not the minority. So I would say that you always want to try to upsize your equipment a bit to 10 to 15% more than what you think that you're going to do and however long that you think you're going to be doing it. I think that, the more you got to grow, the better way, not the other way.
I'd also like to add, I think when it comes to equipment selection, it's really important to factor in, like you said, the metrics that you've been developing and holding on to, what the impact of that unit or machine will do to it, but also the intangibles. So like I would think about like what's your downtime? What's it going to take to work on that machine? What's the impact of that business? We've talked on a current customer recently about does it make sense to put two in so you're redundant. So instead of being 100% down when you have a breakage or downtime, that you can maybe still run 50%. We've also, things that come to mind is critical spare parts. Do you have those on hand? Do you have a good equipment supplier that can actually have your bag? Or do you have to have stuff on the shelf? All of that comes into play when processing anything, and especially directly impacts your yields.
Yeah, I think along with that is a good maintenance program. How are you taking care of that equipment? And is there any redundancy there? You kind of want both of those key factors together to be really successful and be able to really grow. However, you can't have a really good predictive maintenance program and be able to schedule your stuff down because, hey, I can schedule my stuff down between this slow period and we can get all of our critical parts changed out and everything so that when we are running during our busy time, then we stay running. So that's a pretty good key factor. But I think your goal over time is have a good predictive maintenance program and redundancy at the same time.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I can definitely see if a machine's not running if preventative maintenance hasn't been done to the machine, it can definitely affect the performance. We see that oftentimes with, for example, in our equipment, if rolls don't get changed frequently, if they're dull, they're not as effective in crushing or milling. You can see losses in throughput, losses in yields, in capacities. It really can have an effect. So I can understand that.
And I've seen your guys' shop, and you guys take care of your customer. You have a lot of critical spares on hand. That's a huge value. It's not always about the product. It's about getting the product the right time, the right place, and on time. And like I always go back to this: strategic partners, whether it's with us or with you guys or anybody, but making sure someone's taking care of their customers, so they're like ready for a success plan. Like it goes beyond just what you're doing in the building.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely having that relationship with who you partner with to have them help you through the process. Like, where can you find improvements on the equipment level or on the entire process level? And really having that collaborative relationship with them individuals is important. No, that's a good point. All right, to close this thing out, if you want to learn any more about how to increase yields in your process, you can reach out to the GSD group. We'll link them down below on how to get in contact with them. If you want to improve the yields on any size reduction process, you can reach out to RMS Roller Grinder.